Mm. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Once again, we are live. Another exciting, quick quick episode for my new and experienced authors. I know a lot of you have asked this question on previous lives, like, wait a minute, you know what? I hear what you're saying about doing these books, and I hear some other stuff, but I need to know this one. I got one question I need to answer. So that's what this video is about today. As always, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Ray Destin Jr. I'm the founder and CEO of BOBM Publishing. We are a full service publishing house that helps authors with everything from the idea of the book to the creation of the book, training that helps you to become better as a writer, as an entrepreneur, as an entrepreneur. We even have the marketing, websites, branding, all that. Anything you can think of as an author that you need to become successful, we have it in-house. So with that being said, if you are tuned in live with me, hey, I appreciate you. I love you. Do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that heart button, and go ahead and share that video, because we're trying to help people like you and me get those books out of their heads onto the paper so they can help people like you and me, right? So today's topic is something that I run into all the time. Authors always say, man, you know what, I got started on this book and I'm so excited about it. It's going well, but I'm stuck. I don't know where to go next from here. I don't know what my next chapter is going to be. I don't know what my next sentence is going to be. I don't even know what the next page is going to be, because when I started writing, I had so much enthusiasm. I had so much fire about it. But now I got writer's block. How do you overcome that? Well, I'll tell you from experience. Writer's block it comes for a number of different reasons. So we're gonna go high level, give you the answers, then I'm gonna break it down for you on the back end. One of the first things is writer's block comes because, again, you're stuck. You got too much going on. Sometimes you just have to step away so that you can actually get back to what it was that you're writing. But we know what it is. We don't always know why it happens, but we do know that it happens, right? So let's go over the high level information. Appreciate that. I don't know who the user is. It just says all hundreds. I'm thinking that's my guy Chip. But with writer's block, you got to start with the end in mind. If you start with the end in mind, what will happen is that you'll actually be working towards a destination instead of only writing because you wanted to write. Two, make sure that your writing environment is that's my guy Chip. Make sure that your writing environment is conducive for writing. We did a video over that a few weeks ago, but I'm going to touch on it again just briefly. And then the last thing is what to do when the writer's block happens. When the writer's block happens, there's a few tips that I got for you that's going to help you to get past it so that you can finish that thing strong, right? So for those of you who think, well, how can you tell me about writer's block? You know nothing about writer's block. Incorrect, right? My first book actually started as a mentoring assignment, right? My mentor, Saul Paul, met him. He gave me a 10-minute opportunity to speak. He had a 60-minute opportunity to speak, 60-minute presentation at JJAEP, which was a Juvenile Justice Alternative Education Program. Basically, this is the spot where kids who made a mistake end up. And he said, look, I got an hour-long presentation. He said, I done heard about you speaking. I know you can do a little something. I give you 10 minutes. If that 10 minutes does well, we'll talk about next steps. Well, 10 minutes went extremely well, right? And he said, well, the next step for you is what do you have that you can leave behind for your audience? Because everybody's not going to have a budget for a speaker. I remember this conversation clear as day. We were standing outside by the bumper of his car and waiting on my ride to get there. And he said, you got to have something that you can leave behind, because people don't always have a budget for a speaker. Keywords. People don't always have a budget for a speaker. So as a speaker, you need to have something that you can leave behind with them. I said, what do you mean? He said, do you have any trainings, like any training videos, training CDs? I said, bro, this is my first day. What you talking about? I don't have none of that. He said, well, you got a one sheet? I said, what's a one sheet? He explained to me what a one sheet was. He said, you got a trifold? I said, again, what is that? These were marketing tips that I'm learning on day one. So he was taking me through the process. And he said, you got to have something that you can leave behind. He said, do you write or anything? I said, yeah. I said, man, I write poetry all the time. I can leave them with a poem. He said, a poem? He said, ain't nobody going to pay you for no poem. He said, and he just kind of laughed at me. He said, what else do you do? He said, can you ever thought about writing a book? I said, yeah, I can write a book. I have it to you in 2 weeks. And he just stopped and he just laughed at me. And now that I've written several books, I understand why he laughed, right? That one book that I promised him in 2 weeks would be done, it actually took me 5 years. The reason that it took me 5 years was because when I first started writing, I was flowing. The words were coming out all on the page. I was just dropping information, dropping knowledge. These first 4 chapters, which is about 50 something pages, just flowed out of me. But I knew I wasn't done. But I got to a point that I was comfortable. I got into a job that was paying me good money. I got away from my initial goal, and what ended up happening is I put that book on the back burner. I said, I don't really need to be as successful with this book because I got this job that's paying me money. My passion sat on the back burner. Well, July 4th, 2014, something major happened in my life. And when I say something major, it changed the course of my life. It changed the way that I hustle. It changed the way that I move. Within 3 months after that, I won't give y'all that story. That's coming in the next book. So y'all get ready for that one. It's pretty deep. But within 3 months, that book just flowed. Boom. Because now I had stepped away from the book for so long. I started the book in May of 2010. I finished it in October of 2014 because that 3 months after that major life event happened, I was writing every day. I could not stop writing. It was so much in me that I wanted to release, that I wanted to get out, that it just flowed. So when I tell you that writer's block is real, for some people, writer's block may be a day or two. It may be a few hours. It may be a few minutes. For others, people like me, that book, it literally sat inside my head for over 3 years, actually 4 years before it came out. Now, what did I learn from that experience? I learned these things. You have to start with the end in mind. And when I say start with the end in mind, you have to start with a few things. Start with an outline. An outline is just, what are you going to talk about inside of your book? We've all written papers, whether it be for high school or college. If you wrote them in high school, you probably didn't take them as serious. If you wrote them in college, you got better and better as time went on because the teacher was always asking for a few things. They were always asking for an intro, a body, and a conclusion. That's what the paper was about. Depending on what subject you were talking about, you had an intro, a body, a conclusion. Now, inside of your outline for a book, it's different than an outline for just a regular paper. The outline should include your chapters. What are your chapters going to be about? And then write quick chapter summaries. Those chapter summaries are for nobody else but you. There's something that's going to trigger your mind when it comes back. When you get to that point that you're blocked, you need to know what it is that you wanted to write about in the very beginning, because guess what's going to happen? Over time, you're going to grow. You're going to become a different person. You're going to have a different set of life experiences. And sometimes those life experiences change exactly who you are. But if you have those summaries, you can go back to that particular point in time, that where you were, so that you know exactly what you wanted to talk about during that moment. Next is give yourself deadlines. Give yourself deadlines. I always compare a book to a birth. A book can be compared to a birth because you are actually birthing something out of you. And so if you've ever noticed, for any parent that has went with a good father that's went with his woman to the doctor's visits. What does the doctor always talk about? Talks about the trimesters, where they are in the trimesters. You know exactly when that child should be here. If you have deadlines for your book, you know exactly when that book should be done. I always say, give yourself anywhere from a week to 2 weeks to write one chapter. A week to 2 weeks to write one chapter. If you need more time, you're probably stretching it. And you probably don't have as much content as you thought. But give yourself deadlines. The next thing about those deadlines is stick to them. A lot of times, people will say, "Okay, my chapter is due on Friday," and they won't have it done until 3 Fridays later. Why? Because they are either during that process, either they weren't true to those goals, they weren't true to that commitment, or they put the book on the back burner. I've been there. Trust me. There's no excuse that you can give me for why you don't hit those deadlines. I've had people that have written their books in less than 3 months. I had one guy that wrote 3 books in 3 months. Shout out to Rashad Horn. He did a great job on that. Now, when you have those deadlines, get yourself an accountability partner or an accountability group or a coach, somebody that will hold you accountable. And do me a favor. If you have an accountability group or accountability partner or a coach, don't be so stubborn when they hold you accountable. You can't get mad and get in your feelings because somebody held you to your words. That's a key to accountability. You want that book to be a success, stick with the plan. Trust the process. Second thing is your writing environment. Make sure your writing environment is quiet. It's somewhere that's conducive to you being able to write consistently. Because if you're writing, if you were just writing a chapter, if you were just writing 3 to 5 pages, I say you can write anywhere. But when you're writing a book, you're writing a minimum of 100 pages. A minimum of 100 pages. There's some shorter books out there, but a lot of books are 100 pages plus. Good books are 100 pages plus. So make sure that you find a quiet place that you can write. That can be a room, that can be a coffee shop, that can be the library, that can be going near the water. We talked about this on a previous video. We talked about this on a previous episode. When you do find that quiet place, stick to it. Make that your writing place. There's a movie that I love that it's not about writing, but it's about prayer. It's called The War Room. And what the lady said was, you have to make this same place the place that you communicate every single time. Every single time. This is where you go to fight your wars. Find that room, because that room, it can be the table in your dining room. It can be the table in your living room. It can be in your bedroom. It can be in your office. Wherever it is, make sure that people know when you are there during a set time, do not disturb. It should be very easily understood. This is the time that I do not need any disruptions. I do not need any. I don't care if water spilled on the floor. Go get a mop and go pick it up. But while I'm in my writing zone, while I'm in this quiet place that I'm supposed to be writing, leave me alone. When you are writing, make it consistent. Pick the same time consistently, day after day after day, because that time that you pick is going to be the time that you're writing consistently, day in and day out. You train your mind and you train your muscles to have muscle memory, because now if every day from 3:00 p.m. until 5:00 p.m. I'm in my writing place, my body knows from 3:00 p.m. until 5:00 p.m. I need to be writing. I need to be writing something. I need to be writing based on the chapters that I've already outlined. I need to be writing based on the content that I've already said was going to be there. Make it consistent, and then pick some music that you like. If you don't like a super duper quiet environment, then get some writing music. Get writing music. For me, I always love listening to jazz or something soft. Jazz, it would usually be Kenny G or Miles Davis. Can't really do Louis Armstrong type of jazz because he's too New Orleans, too excited, right? But an old school Miles Davis album, Nefertiti, or Kenny G. I can't think of the name of it, but I'll usually listen to his greatest hits. Or my favorite album to write to is Maxwell Embryo, because from beginning to end, it's smooth, it's quiet, but it also, yeah, there's words in it, but he is so melodic that it keeps my mind in the right space, right? You can light some incense if that's what you need. Do something that keeps that environment peaceful, keeps it serene, and keeps you in the mindset of creativity. Creating when it comes down to writing is not the same as creating when it comes down to design. With design, you can turn on the loudest music, you can turn on your rap, you can turn on your hip hop, you can turn on heavy metal, whatever, and still be creative. When it comes down to writing, you need something that keeps your mind peaceful and keeps your mind flowing. Okay. Now, what do you do when writer's block hits? This is the big one. When writer's block hits, you need to learn to step away from the project temporarily. Don't say, you know what, I'm just going to step away from this for the next year and a half, 2 years. No, I'm not giving you permission to walk away from the project. I said step away from the project. And stepping away from the project is nothing more than saying, you know what, let me go. Maybe I'll go to the grocery store. Maybe I'll go hang out with my kids. Maybe I'll go sit in the living room. Maybe I'll go watch a show. But give yourself a set time that you are getting your mind away from the project so that your mind clears itself in that small piece of time. And then when you get back to it, you'll be able to write. When you step away, do something that you love. Maybe it's going, for me, I used to go play basketball. Still do every once in a while. It's very, very, very rare. But go play basketball. Go shoot some pool. Go swimming. Go to a game. Go do something that you love that brings you enjoyment. Because what you want to do is refocus. And when I say refocus, what I'm looking for is you need to remind yourself what this project was about. When you remind yourself, maybe you're going back and talking to people that were part of, if you're doing an autobiography or you're doing an autobiographical type of work, then maybe you need to talk to people that were around during that time period. Maybe you need to talk to people that were involved. If it's not autobiographical, then you may need to do some more research. And when I say do more research, if your book is about a specific subject that you're an expert in, go and take some time and read what others have said. Go and take some time and watch a few videos. Don't come back and plagiarize what they've done or what they've said, but take some time to go and study the information that they've put out there. Because what that's going to do is it's going to trigger your mind, and your mind will say, oh, I remember that. That's an excellent point that I need to include in my writing. That's an excellent point, or that's something that I didn't think about. And it jogs your memory to come up with new stuff. Talk to somebody about the topic. Talk to somebody. If you have your accountability partner, you have your coach, you have your accountability group, call somebody in there and remind them, hey, my book is about this. This is what I'm writing about. I'm stuck, man. I just can't think. Is there, can we talk through this real quick? And what they will do is they will help you, because if they are good with the content, or even if they're just good people, they may be able to see something that you didn't see. Every day before I start these videos, there's so much information that's locked up here that I usually call somebody and say, hey, what is something that you would like to know as a new author or as an existing author? The reason that I do that is because I want to make sure that there's value. Whenever you're writing your book, you want to make sure that the value is there. You want to make sure that even when you get stuck, you can jump back on track. And that's the difference between a good book and a great book. A good book is somebody just kept writing just because they needed content. A great book, somebody took the time to step away just for a second, so that they could get back on track and it wasn't just scrambled writing. Um, Again, this was all about tips for overcoming writer's block. Just a quick recap. Start with the end in mind. Start with your outline, your chapter summaries. Give yourself deadlines and accountability. And don't. I'm going to say this loud and I'm going to say this clear. Don't be so stubborn when people hold you accountable that you get upset, because if they're holding you accountable, they actually love you. Think about that. Think about your writing environment. Make sure that your writing environment is conducive for what you're trying to do. Make sure it's a quiet place. It can be a room. It can be a library, your office, a coffee shop, somewhere near the water. Get some writing music. Writing music would be something jazz or something soft, whatever keeps your mind going to the point that you just keep writing. Okay. And for anybody out there listening, again, my favorite writing music is the album Embryo by Maxwell. It was actually his third studio album. No. Yeah, it was his second studio album. All right. Third. I don't know. One of them. Then when writer's block hits, step away from it. Give yourself some time to actually step away from the project, doing something that you love. Spend some time with family. Go to a game, watch a show, read something different. Get your mind off of the project so that when you come back to it, your mind is refocused. When you do refocus, remind yourself of what you wanted when you initially started. That's going back to beginning with the end in mind. And then do a little bit more research. There's nothing wrong with doing that extra research to make sure that it's exactly what you wanted. And then talk to somebody about the topic. Talk to somebody who actually knows the situation, or even just talk to somebody and kind of coach them through what it is that you are writing. Right? So again, all of this was for those new and experienced authors who are running into writer's block, or who will inevitably run into writer's block. Prayerfully, this was helpful to you. If it was, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that heart button, and go ahead and share it, because we're trying to help people get those books out of their heads onto the paper so they can help people like me and you. Look out for a few online courses coming specifically for you all as new and experienced authors to help take your writing to the next level. Again, my name is Ray Destin Jr. I love y'all, and there's nothing y'all can do about it. Until next time, love y'all.